In today's world of angry redditors and in some case lazy game critics, it's harder than ever for a game to be considered great. In recent years, however, Sony has been hitting home runs time after time with the likes of The Last of Us, Horizon Zero Dawn, God of War and Spider-Man, each game raising the bar and expectations of fans and critics alike. The latest offering is Days Gone, an open world survivor-light zombie game which on paper would need to produce a damn miracle for it to live up to its predecessor standards. Add to this the lack of pedigree of Days Gone creator Ben Studios, and the writing just seems to be on the wall. I mean, to be fair, yes, the studio, or Ben Studios, has been releasing games since 1996 with Busby 3D on the original PlayStation. But between 1996 and last year 2018, Ben Studios has released a total of 10 games, most of which were Siphon Filter variants and games for the various PS Portables. It's very easy to see why a lot of mainstream game critics already had a big fat red X mark directly next to Days Gone name, as they write it off as a tropey game which has simply come 6 years too late. The stupid part about all this, the more I played through Days Gone, it became more and more apparent that for the people to release the reviews that they did, there is no way on earth they could have played this game in its entirety. Yes, this game has its issues, however, to be 100% fair, I felt that the only way to do reviews, this is why I'm a bit late to the party, was to play the game entirely. I mean properly play it, put 100 hours into it, just so I can give a proper review of what this game is actually like. So, here we are. I present to you, after over 100 hours of gameplay, my review of Ben Studios' Days Gone. When I put together my reviews, I throw the mainstream scoring template out the window. Instead, I split my review into 3 parts: the good, the bad and the ugly. This is to help you make an informed decision on whether or not you should lay down your hard-earned cash when purchasing Days Gone. Let's start with the good. It would be an absolute crime if I didn't start my review without mentioning the biggest plus point of Days Gone, which has to be its story. Normally, games tend to go with a simple linear storyline that may or may not have a few twists which inevitably drag out the gameplay. Days Gone, however, goes with 5 or 6 different storylines, all of which are seamlessly woven together. Days Gone's story is one of love, friendship, hardship, survival and war, all of which expertly drag you in and invoke strong emotions as you work your way through the game. There were moments where I choked up. Hell, there was one moment that actually managed to squeeze a tear out of this swinging brick I have as a heart. There were moments that made me want to cheer for the main character. There were moments that made me want to physically reach through the screen and bitch slap the bad guys. But as the story evolved, that even made me feel like shit, because you sort of understand where the bad guys are coming from bit by bit, or why they're doing the things they're doing. It was a complete mind mess up. And the straight fact is, any overall story arc that can do that to you has to be applauded. However, as good as the story was, and I mean as truly exceptional as the story was, it would have been absolutely pointless without top-notch voice acting.
Leon, you got a little problem here. See, they can smell your blood from all the way down there. What do you suppose that feels like? Huh? Torn apart? Heap alive?
Guess he's gonna find out.
Fuck you. Goodbye, Leon.
No, wait. All right, no. I got it right here, take it.
Where?
In the cemetery. It's in the old cemetery.
Thank you.
No, you said. Do it. Don't leave me out here, man.
Every character, from old Deacon St. Jollybollocks and his wing companion to even the bloody merchants, are voiced perfectly. There are multi-billion-dollar animated franchises that do not have as good as acting as Days Gone. The acting in this game is so strong, it turns a great script into one of the most memorable experiences I have ever played through. I seriously could not think of a game right now that has more emotional, more honest acting than Days Gone. And that, my friends, is the highest praise I can give. Another plus point is its control system. One of my biggest bugbears about most open world games is its controls, especially with games that involve crafting on the go. Ben Studios, however, have crafted a fantastic set of controls, which feels natural and easy to comprehend. It literally takes less than 5 minutes to fully understand all the mechanics, which is fantastic to see. However, there is a little caveat I'm going to put in place here, which I'll save for the ugly, and boy oh boy Ben, you guys are going to get it over this one, but I'll save that one till later. Another talking point for the good is the world itself. Open worlds usually feel flat. Yes, there's been games like Assassin's Creed Odyssey which has done a better job of late. However, Ben seems to pit them all in crafting a world that feels totally alive. Even if every damn object outside your camps wants to rip your head off and wear it as a codpiece. The second you step out your camps, you can get attacked by anything and everyone, whether it's marauders, whether it's freakers, whether it's animals infected or not. The world is out to get you, and it will come and get you. It's only a matter of time. This adds a serious depth to the game that I rarely see in others. There's that suspense, that feeling of dread every time you ride out, because you know you got your bike, but you can be knocked off that at any moment. There could be a piece of wire across the road that you can't see, that you'll run straight into. You could have some screaming freaker that will just blast your ear holes and make you dizzy and crash into something. There could also be an idiot controlling the back, you run into a tree, fall off and get swamped by a horde. Anything can happen, and that makes this world feel amazing. Which leads me on to one of the great things about this game. The freakers. I fecking love the zombies in this game. My favourite film, or my favourite zombie film of all time, is one called 28 Days Later, purely because the zombies are like Usain Bolt on a promise. There's none of this slow walking dead bollocks where you can easily dance around them while defeating them. In Days Gone, the various variants of try to say that 10 times fast. The various variants of freakers from newts to reachers are all equally challenging, not on their own, but when they get into groups of 10 or more, as they will try everything they can to end your day, from knocking your bike over so you can't get to it, to flanking like war professionals to cut off your escape routes. The Hordes, for example, the name given to big ass groups of freakers, are of course Days Gone's swan song when it comes to raising the stakes, because they make little noise when docile and could come out of nowhere to really mess your day up. When this happens, don't expect to mow them down with your badass LMG, as you simply won't have enough time or bullets. The emphasis on defeating the Hordes is to use your environment against them, drag them through choke points to slow them down, and shoot as many as you can whilst they're all bunched together. Use the red coated explosive items to whittle down the numbers, to make the group more manageable. It's this system alone that makes it stand out from other zombie games like The Last of Us, where the emphasis was more on stealth. That isn't to say there isn't stealth in Days Gone, there is. And yes, okay, the stealth system is pretty much ripped straight out of Horizon. You sit in bushes or get behind cover to get through missions. You can use rocks or things like that to either move a sentry or lure a target to your position for a stealth kill. The system in itself, the stealth system, works well, as it did in Horizon, and it also adds a different branch to your attacking options. And with that pretty much concludes all the main talking points that I felt that make this game good. But that now leads me on to the bad. Alright, there's no dance around this. The first real bad point for me is the performance. The performance of Days Gone is so inconsistent. 1 minute it's working well and everything is lip synced perfectly. Next minute I'm getting Commodore 64 levels of frame drop and watching a badly dubbed Jet Li movie. In my 100 hours of gameplay, almost every graphical bug short of falling through the map. It's unfortunate, but it's also obvious that Ben Studios had serious problems getting this game to be 100% compatible with the PS4. Whether it was down to bad coding or my OG PS4 that struggled to run the game. There were times where, if it wasn't for the fantastic story, immersion would have been totally broken. It especially shows when taking on a horde or riding through populated areas, which sort of tipped me off to something that was about to come down on top of me, as I knew that if my frames were going, there was a good bloody chance there was a lot of contacts in the area. Which is not always a good thing, as the next bad point is the shooting. For as much praise as I could give the guns for the different choice that you have, I can give just as much criticism for how they bloody shoot. I'm not talking about the recoil, as you can counteract that with the skill system. I'm more talking about how the aiming system feels so tacked on and unpolished. The easiest example I can give of this is when you're in cover and you pop up to fire. The reticle goes a centimetre to the left or the right of centre, meaning you have to readjust your aim. This can, and has, caused the death of Deeks quite a few times, because those enemies with weapons, assuming they know your position of course, has damn near perfect aim, and that second it takes to re-aim to readjust your reticle back to centre is more than long enough for your target to tag you. And that leads me on to my last seriously bad point, which is repetitive human enemies. Bend have worked so hard on voice acting, which is why I find it utterly disappointing that there is no verbal or animation variation with the enemies that you shoot at. Okay, let's just skip across the fact that I couldn't think of a word for them. We'll just stick it to enemies that you shoot at. Take the Rippers for example. If you get near one and throw a rock, they all say the exact same thing and play the exact same animation. Same with the Nero officers and so on. It's like each group were given one line and one animation which they use over and over again. In the clip playing behind you, you'll see that each Nero officer gets alarmed by throwing a rock in the exact same way. And they all act like they've been controlled by osmosis or something. Enemy design like that just makes me think that they either A, didn't have time to polish them, or B, used a that will do mentality, which has no place in gaming, as BioWare are just about finding out. Having said all that, of course, that is pretty much all the bad points I could find that I find to be truly worthy of pointing out. But that means there's 2 down and 1 to go, and it leaves on to the fun section, the ugly. Now for those of you who don't know, the ugly is purely a section of things that annoy the living shit out of me. There could be things in this section that you'd have no problem with whatsoever. This is purely a personal thing. It keeps it separate and keeps everything non-biased and straight down the line. As you may remember earlier in the video in the good, I mentioned the control system that I did have a caveat, and that I was going to give Bend a good telling off. Well, here it is. Whiskey Tango Foxtrot was the control designer smoking when he or she thought it was a good idea to put the aim on L1 and fire on R1 when you're controlling a fast-moving bike around obstacles using L2 and R2 to control motion. It means that instead of using my index finger to control R2 and L2 as normal, I have to switch to using 4 fingers to control all 4 bumpers. That feels so unnatural. It's not even funny, especially when they could have easily just mapped the shoot button to triangle. I am telling you now, that is a decision made by someone who is not a gamer. Because any gamer who doesn't have double jointed bloody fingers would find it awkward to use 4 fingers for 4 bumpers and would instantly flag that up as an issue. Which then, talking about issues, puts me onto the fuel economy. I get that it's supposed to encourage you to do jobs for all camps, but I really hate that I don't have a universal currency that I can use for fuel at any camp. The amount of times I've ridden to the nearest camp on bloody fumes just to remember that I have no credits there and can't fill up. It's simple to fix. Remove the fill up option from the mechanics and just stick a fuel can at every camp so you can just pick up and use. Why use currency to fill up? It's a dumb decision that can easily be resolved. I'm looking at you, Bend. Resolve it. Resolve it now. Patch that bastard! My next gripe resolves the blockers or the knockers. You know, the big muscly bastards that have a fetish for a Hulk. They are so easy to beat. They are way too easy to beat. All you need to do is roll towards them when they get near you, turn and shoot, repeat. Add more variation into their attacks, make him throw shit at you or something. It's so easy, it's comical. They're meant to be a tough enemy. They're not. They're really not. And that's it. That's the ugly. So there you go. The good, the bad and the ugly. Look, if you want my 10 pence worth of opinion, Days Gone has its faults. That's a given. If you're the type of person who literally freaks out over frame rates and graphical issues, then this game will annoy the living shit out of you. If, however, you like a good story, if you enjoy a good atmosphere, if those things like graphical anomalies and things like that don't bother you too much, Days Gone is a bargain at full price. There is so much entertainment in there, it's unreal. If you were to base it on value per pence for entertainment, it's astronomical how much you can get out of it, especially considering you can pick the game up for about 45 quid. If you're one of the lucky bastards that gets it on sale, it's even more of a bargain. This is a game that you have to experience. Now, the glitches they may patch out in the future, they may not. That's down to Bend. I don't think they will personally. There's quite a lot of stuff, as far as graphical stuff's concerned, there's quite a lot to fix. And they might do, they might not. But even if they don't, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't. The game is fantastic. At the moment, it's sitting at 7.9 on Metacritic, and I can see why. It reflects the fact that the game doesn't have to be perfect to be good. Yes, it's got its faults, but the good far outweigh the bad. Far outweigh. I am really happy to say that Bend Studios' Days Gone, in spite of its faults, deserves to be on the same shelf as its predecessors. Thank you for taking the time to watching this review. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, leave a like on the video. If you want to say something you want to add to this, if you've got any, well, if you've got anything you want to say, get it in the comments. Come and have a chat with me. That's all from me, Mr. B. Ta-ta for now.